Good afternoon. It is August 24th, 2021, and today, we stayed within overnight highs and lows, so it was a range day. Very, very choppy. You can see some congestion here, congestion here, congestion here. This leg was very, very, very slow to move up. And really today you just absolutely had to draw your short-term trend lines. I want to show you something, or I guess I'll just get started on the marked trades. And I think there might be one that I'm missing, one, maybe two. We'll see as we go through it. But I just want to point out real quick, look how we have this leg down and then a break, one leg down, two legs down to a new low. And I got trapped like a fool going long here, which is a first entry, may I say. Just a first entry, so there's no reason to be going long according to the rules, price action rules. So no reason to be going long there. I just got really excited. It's right at the open. That's truly the only reason I was going long. So but that's perfect price action. We got a leg down and then one leg, two legs to a new low. We made a new low here. We didn't make a new low here. So just something to think about. And one leg of correction, two legs of correction before the reversal. So just something to think about. I do think, especially we bounce, this is the new low and we bounce right there. So I do think that first entry failed second entry. I think you can go long here. And then it gets super congested. Very, very, very congested. So let's see if we draw our congestion, if there are any more entries that I missed. Hopefully I'm not, I moved the computer closer to myself. Hopefully I'm not talking too quiet. I probably have this congestion drawn right here. So you might enter here. It's just the first entry, but it looks like this. Yeah, I think you could enter there. It's very congested, and it just looks like, we're just bouncing around. Let's see, you got room 83.25. That's perfect. That's 1 point. So yeah, it's very aggressive. And then we break up further into this congestion up here. Let's see if, yeah, it's pretty much a measured move up, and that's when we formed this congestion. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot to enter on here. I wanted to go short so bad here, but the top of that's going right into the EMA and the midline, and this trend hadn't broken yet, so you can't go short there. And then we get this doji at the bottom, so you can't go long on the doji. And look, they trapped some people out. And then we get this bar, and this is a doji too, but it's not in the middle. And this stem, I don't know, it just looked like a lot of trapped people would get trapped going short here. So I went long there. You do get a scalp out of that. Unfortunately here, the signal bar is no good, because that does look like a really good place to go short, because it'd be a failed breakout, but it's also confirming this level of resistance. So plenty of people went short there. As you can see, we get a big leg down. And when I see that, I start to think, like, incorrectly, I start to think that, oh, this is a downward trend, but we're in between the overnight highs and lows. So it's a very, very weak downward trend. So really you should be thinking about trading it both ways and following range rules. So we come down here and I correctly started to play it like a range rule because I hadn't really thought of it like the downward trend yet. And we get this break of this steep channel. Oops. And a move to a new low and a nice engulfing bullish bar. And I went long above that, and I would have hit my target. I might have went long above this one, actually. I might have entered on a limit order too, but you would have hit your target. And right here, when this bar formed, I was like, oh, that looks like a really good second entry long. But look how congested it is. And I had my congestion drawn. And overall, this looked like maybe the bias was up. Look, we broke out of this congestion right here. And we never came back to it. So we're expecting prices to come back to it. So even though they didn't come back on these swings, look, they still came back. And now we're selling off. So, but anyway, you get this higher low. And then here, if you want to fade this bar, I mean, this is a very bullish bar, but, you know, it started to fail. And it's off the midline of the overnight highs and lows, something to think about. And technically we broke down into this congestion. So look, that breakout failed. So you just got to trust those range rules. We got a first entry. This kind of looks like a hidden failure. This would be the first entry, but this is technically the first entry, and this is the true failure right here. And I like how it was. I entered here because I really liked how it was at that potential level of resistance. So I looked at this as a trap. I went one tick above that, failed second entry short, and that does get you a nice scalp. And if you kept your stop loss beneath this, you would have gotten a few points, but I did not. So that's really all I saw. I don't think this alone, this is very aggressive, but it's off the trend line. Here, this is a failed third entry, and then this, if you want to count this as a new low, first failed second entry short, but this is outside the trend line. It's tough. So let's take a look at my trades, and I just want to say this was a much needed exercise, and I'm sure plenty of people watching would agree. After these past few days, and even last week, all the volatility was really, I would say, easy to trade. This stuff is not easy, and I needed this exercise. So let's take a look at my trades. So again, right at the open, I didn't wait for two legs of correction. First leg, second leg. I jumped in right here and got trapped. It's a first entry as well. I think on days I gotta take my son to daycare, I'm in a rush. There's no reason I should not be sitting here at the open. That's right before I have to leave. So I think that's something to keep in mind too. Yeah, and like I said, this was like kind of I looked at this as a counter trend breakout, and it worked. It's aggressive. It's also a second entry long though, which if anything it helps. It's not the greatest positive on a range day, but it helps. So I'm okay with that trade. I am okay with this trade. This is highly aggressive, and unfortunately I backed out, but I'm also I'm okay with the entry, but I think I'm okay with the fact that I got out at break even, because it did break down into this congestion. So first entry, failed second entry. This is aggressive, but I was reading it right, so I'm really happy that I read it right, because it's off the trend line too. It's far from the EMA, but it's off the trend line, so I like that. Yeah, and I didn't feel nervous during this trade, so I like that, because it took a long time to fill. Let's see. When did this bar close? 10:57 a.m. And I went long above this bar, 86.25, 87.50. So where did it hit that? Looks like it would have hit it on this bar. So an hour later. I was in that trade for an hour. So that's what I saw for today. Hopefully the volatility will come back tomorrow or later this week. But hope everyone had a good day, and I'll be back tomorrow.